Hello, everybody. Welcome to it's rainy Pottstown, Pennsylvania today for our email security and compliance in 2024 talk at STCN Tech, Certified Technology Experts. We are the TechSperts, and we're talking email security compliance because the rules have changed. The landscape is ever shifting, and we are here to help you stay compliant, just as we always are. So why are we here today? Why have the rules changed? What's happening? Email is the Wild West. It is. Things have changed. Things are always changing. We know that technology is constantly shifting, but technology is shifting. Bad actors are shifting. Bad actors are constantly moving and learning new ways to take information, to use information, and to gain from that information. In 2023, there were over 300 billion emails sent. Not bill emails sent. You can see I type really well. Of those 300 billion emails sent, over 120 billion of them were considered spam. So if you attended one of our previous emails, sorry, not emails, if you attended one of our previous sessions, you know that spam is any email that you do not want. So that could be an advertisement from a store. That could be the latest circular from a store. That could be an advertisement from a car dealership. Any email you do not want and did not ask to receive is considered spam. It could also be phishing. So a malicious actor trying to get information from you is phishing. They are phishing for information. And that is the email that is actually bad email, is phishing. And there are various types of phishing emails that are out there that we talked about in one of our previous Tech Cafe Wednesday sessions. We're not going into those today. That's not what we're here to talk about. But so spam is an email that you do not want and did not ask to receive. And so the question of the day is, why are the big actors, not the big actors, why are the big email providers changing? Why are they shifting so much that we have to talk about this today? Well, if we think all the way back to 20 plus years ago when the CAN-SPAM Act was passed, if you remember way back then, the CAN-SPAM Act was meant to create legislation that would help people thin out their mailbox, their inbox, so that you wouldn't have hundreds of emails that you don't want in your inbox. Well, clearly that did not work. But what the CAN-SPAM Act provided us was this legislation that required people who send mass emails, marketing emails, to give us a way out, a way to stop receiving all of these emails. That's what the CAN-SPAM Act did. In essence, every time, say, a store or anyone trying to sell you something, trying to solicit something from you, from your business from you, sends you an email to do that, they have to give you a way to stop it, an unsubscribe link, or some way to get off their list. I mean, there's more to it than that, but that's the short version of it. There's got to be a way out. That's what the CAN-SPAM Act really did. There's more to it, but that's the short version of it. They also have to identify themselves. There has to be a header in the email, and that's really what we're talking about today, is how they identify themselves in that header of email. And that's part of the CAN-SPAM Act as well. In February of 2024, Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, and some others cracked down on spam, phishing, and other email-based attack vectors. So these big guys out there have decided to actually enforce the CAN-SPAM Act rules. Instead of just having these rules out there and relying on the consumers to lodge complaints, which is pretty much the way it's worked for the last 21 years, where if Best Buy was sending emails that you didn't sign up for and they wouldn't stop, you had to lodge a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, maybe report them to the FCC, and then they would get a fine and they didn't care. Instead of that, well, now Google and Microsoft and Yahoo are actually checking. If the emails that are being sent do not include certain things, they won't be delivered. They will either be put in your junk mail, they will be quarantined, or simply be outright rejected by the mail servers. Microsoft, Google, and Yahoo will simply not deliver them. And it's already happening. This started in February, and it started softly, as they say. It was a soft rollout. So in February, if you were sending marketing emails, you might not have really noticed it. But then in March, all of a sudden you noticed some of your marketing emails weren't making it. And now in April, some of your clients really aren't getting your emails. Well, that's this in action. So what did they actually do? Again, the answer is they are actually, the big guys are complying with the CAN-SPAM Act. They're enforcing it in a way that the government cannot do. Whoops. They're requiring you to authenticate your emails when you send them. So you authenticate your emails by saying, we are STCN Tech and we can prove it. They're requiring you to enable some way to unsubscribe and opt out. If I, as STCN Tech, am sending you marketing emails, I've got to enable some way for you to do one action for you to stop receiving my emails. For those of you who may receive emails from us and you are not a client of ours, you can simply reply and say, stop it. And the people that I have on my staff who send those emails, it says at the bottom of the email, if you wish to stop receiving these emails, click reply and tell me to stop. That's what it says, or something to that effect. That's how we do it. We don't use automated emailers to send out our marketing emails. Every time you get an email from us that says, hey, we've got something new and cool, that's somebody typing it. That's how we do it. You must have and maintain a low complaint rate. So this is really interesting, the complaint rate. What is a complaint? It's a really good question. So I'm in conversation with a client about this yesterday. Every time you send an email to someone from your corporate email account and they drag it to their junk mail folder, if they're with Google, Microsoft, or Yahoo, that's a complaint. Every time. Starting, I believe it's June 1st, starting June 1st, Google is going to enforce a 0.03% complaint rate. If you have a higher than 0.03% complaint rate, your emails will automatically go to the junk mail folder. And there's nothing you can do about it. So think about that. Think about your marketing emails and the way you currently market to your clients. And we're going to talk a little bit about what you can do to ensure that your emails end up in the inbox, the way where you want them to be. But the complaint rate one, and they're not doing this now, they're going to. The complaint rate one is one that's really going to hit some people hard if you do a lot of email marketing. If you're not doing a lot of email marketing now, you're not going to get hit really hard by it, but you might if you do. So think about how you send those marketing, who sends it, because that's the really important piece. Again, for the way, like, for example, the way we do it, we send it as individuals. Those of you who get our marketing, you probably get it from Callie. She sends them out. She drafts these really nice emails that explains things very completely. They're not spammy looking at all. But if you do use a third-party company to do your marketing, you have to be very careful about how you send them, because if they go into junk mail folders automatically, that's even worse. That's automatically a complaint to Google. They're looking for something called SPF, Sender Policy Framework. And this is where we're gonna start to dive into is SPF. We're gonna dive into DMARC, domain-based message authentication, reporting and conformance, and DKIM, domain keys identified mail. So what is Sender Policy Framework? Sender Policy Framework is an email authentication protocol designed to prevent email spoofing. In essence, this is you saying, this is where we send email from. That way, when you send an email, they know that this is where our emails come from, and whether it comes from server A, B, or C, these are the 3 servers we send from. And it could be more than that. But you're basically identifying if it comes from stcntech.com, it could come from any of these servers. It allows one server or more to specify what other servers can send email on their behalf. And again, this comes down to marketing for the most part. Your office could also have several locations that send emails, so that can count. If you are, say, example, an Office 365 customer or a Google Workspace customer, that's kind of a different situation because your email lives in the cloud. So that is automatically set up to be a cloud-based email sending instance. You still have to have entries in your DNS, your domain name servers, that tell people that. The recipient mail servers can check. They check the DNS records to see if there's an SPF record that verifies the authenticity of incoming mails. It can check and it says, where are emails from STC and Tech supposed to come from? Did this email come from there? If it didn't, red flag. Maybe this email shouldn't be trusted. This helps protect against attacks and spam by making it harder to fake email addresses. It makes it harder for someone to say they're you if they're actually not. So remember I mentioned a little bit earlier, this idea that the CAN-SPAM Act required that you have a full header in your email address. Well, the header of an email helps people identify where the email came from, who it came from, and how it got there. All of that information plays in here as the receiving server of the email figures out STCN Tech is sending me an email. How did it get here? Where did it come from? Is it real? A good and accurate SPSF record increases your email deliverability rate. If the receiving email server can backtrack reliably and consistently your email, you have a much higher chance that your email is going to end up in an inbox that you expect it to end up in. And that's what you're shooting for. No one can ever tell you that there's a 100% chance that every email you send is going to end up in someone's inbox. That's not going to happen. But what you can do is make sure that you have the best possible chance of that happening. And we here at STC and Tech, we have tools that can evaluate your chances. We can evaluate what the likelihood of your emails ending up in the inbox are, and then adjust your records accordingly to make sure you have the best chance possible. Whether you use a third-party tool, or I'm sorry, not tool, whether you use a third-party company or not to do your marketing. Let's talk a little bit about DKIM, because these three things, SPF, not SPF, SS, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC all kind of work together to make this magic happen. DKIM is the second piece and is an email authentication method that allows organizations to digitally sign outgoing emails using cryptographic signatures. So there are two pieces to this puzzle. So remember, SPF sits in DNS, and the receiving email just looks it up and says, is STCN text supposed to send email from the server? That's how SPF works. DKIM instead verifies the authenticity and integrity of emails by allowing the recipient mail servers to confirm that the messages come from where they claim by taking a signature from the email header and comparing it to by using a private key. So in essence, the recipient servers use a public key that's published in a DNS entry and compares it to one that's in the header. The email header contains a key, and it's compared to the key that's in the DNS entry. That key is published in the sender's server system. So it depends. So for example, if you have Office 365, you've got to take that, you have to generate that cryptographic key there. And then that gets added to all of your outgoing messages. That cryptographic key gets published to your DNS. And then as you send messages, the recipient server says, hey, I've got this header. Here's the key that's in the header. It checks it against your DNS. If they match, it knows you're good to go. So that is one piece of the puzzle. It also compares your SPF record. And then you have two really solid, really genuine pieces of the puzzle for that recipient's email server to feel good about you sending that email. DKIM enhances email security. That again, that encryption really helps to enhance that email security by providing a mechanism to combat spoofing. Spoofing is the same idea of faking who you are. Phishing and other email-based attacks by increasing trust in the domain. This is a domain level encryption. So SPF is DNS level, but because we have the key published in the email server itself and on the DNS server, this is considered to be a domain level email authentication signature. So this is considered to be more secure than SPF. And we have the tools that help to increase your email reputation. We can go out and make sure that you have these tools, these security pieces published, and help you publish them if you do not. I have lost my screen. Hang on a second. Sorry about that, everybody. All right, there we go, back. All right, so let's talk for a minute about DMARC. DMARC is an email authentication protocol that builds upon SPF and DKIM to provide a domain-based protection against email spoofing and phishing. So there's a theme here. We are trying to make sure that the people who send email are the people who say they are. That's really the goal here. Because we find, and the royal we, not we here, everybody, finds that generally speaking, if someone is sending you a phishing email and trying to steal your information, they aren't who they say they are. This enables owners to publish policies, specific policies. These are rules that tell everybody how mail servers should handle emails that fail their SPF and DKIM checks. So remember, SPF and DKIM authenticate your messages. They try to figure out whether you are who you say you are. And then they judge yes or no. DMARC then decides what to do with the messages. DMARC says, well, if I think you are who you say you are, great, cool, pass it through. We're not going to do anything. But if you're not, how sure am I? Where did you fail and how much did you fail? What level of certainty do I have? And then based on that answer, so if I pass SPF, but I don't pass DKIM, do I deliver the message or not? And vice versa. So that's what that's what DMARC does. And then I'm sorry, look, it does more than that. It doesn't just say whether I deliver it. It says, do I deliver it to my inbox? Do I put it in quarantine or do I reject it outright? And there's different levels of that as well. DMARC helps organizations monitor and enforce email authentication practices to stop attacks against their domain and provides a mechanism to do reporting on that. You can go in and look at how many emails have done X, Y, or Z, how many have been rejected, quarantined, or delivered based on the different levels of yes, no, or maybes. DMARC adoption improves email deliverability by increasing your online reputation. So what recipient email servers will do is go out and look and see, does STC on Tech have DMARC configured? Yes, they do. Okay. So in their DMARC record, what does pass equals say? Pass equals is there. Cool. But what does it say? Does it say pass equals none? Well, if it says pass equals none, it's not doing anything. It's there, but the door is open, right? So the gate is there, but the gate is open, which means it's not blocked. It's not stopping anything. It's basically saying that if SPF fails and DKIM fails, it's still delivering all the messages to the inbox. So that's great that it's there, but who cares? So DMARC can improve your reputation by increasing your security and increasing the trust in your domain based on the settings that are there. And our tools can help you do this and test your inbox placement rate by looking at these records and creating them in a way that increases the trust in your domain, but still makes sure that your messages are delivered the way you need them to be delivered. So what I mean by that, and this is important, is that you don't want false positives on your side or anyone else's side. You don't want emails blocked that should be delivered. But you also don't want to accidentally be letting in phishing emails. So there's a balance here that has to be struck. So our tools that we have help to prevent that from happening. And there's a massaging of that. There's a little bit of an art to it. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen by just putting this stuff in place. Technology, for all its wonder, that's out there, requires looking at it. It requires reading it. It requires saying, okay, it's there. Putting tools in place is 70% of it. The rest of it requires reading, examining, and then making changes. And then here's a little view of what a sample dashboard looks like. So the red, the green, all these things look great, not great. When we look at verified, pass, fail, some things look good, some things don't look good. And this is just a DMARC report, right? So we talked a little bit, let me go back. Talking about DMARC and what it does. So again, DMARC is telling people what to do. This DMARC is saying, what did I do with certain messages from certain places? DMARC does require sometimes that the other side is compliant in ways as well. And with this particular client, the Salesforce side isn't compliant with their side. So Salesforce isn't doing their part, isn't doing their part, therefore Salesforce is failing the DMARC. So their overall DMARC pass rate is only 81%. And then it also, in this case, it makes it fail DKIM as well. So it's a combination of issues. It's not necessarily an issue for this client, even though the percentages look low. And that's what I mean. You put the tools in place, everything looks bad because those numbers don't look great, but you have to go more into the numbers than just that. It's not as simple as that, but that's what the dashboards do. That's what the information does, is it allows you to look and learn and find out more, so to make sure that your emails work, not just emails that come into you. So it's a little more involved than that. But thank you for coming. I hope you learned something today. I hope you took away something from this. If you're interested in our services to help you with your email security and compliance, scan the QR code, fill out the form. We are more than happy to have a conversation with you and help you with your email deliverability. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.